I'm Denny Wiggers of Denny Wiggers Gardens in Paramus, New Jersey. Today's topic is deer-resistant plants. As you know, the population is spiked up all over New Jersey and the Northeast. The deer seem to be everywhere. When I was a kid, I never saw a deer in my parents' yard. Now they're coming in 10, 20 at a time, and they're eating everything like if it was Caesar salad or their main Thanksgiving meal. We're going to walk around the nursery and I'm going to identify a couple of deer-resistant plants and plants that you want to stay away from when you're planting your garden. When you're planting your garden, you want to put the most deer-resistant plants in the garden. The deer, when they're hungry, they're going to eat anything, but you want the plants that they're going to go after the least. Here's an example of a hosta. Deer love hosta. They usually chew them right down to the ground. That's an example of a plant you don't want to use in your garden. On our website, Denny Wiggers Gardenscapes, we have a whole list of deer-resistant plants and also plants that you want to stay away from. We have a lot of information on our website. I'm going to walk around for a minute and show you some other plants that the deer like and they don't like. Here's an example of a couple of perennials that I'd recommend. This is salvia here, very resistant to deer, bleeding heart, good deer-resistant plant. A stilby, great plant, gets a nice flower, deer-resistant, and an iris. Iris are, for whatever reason, resistant to the deer in the garden. These are our finishing plants, our annuals that we plant in the garden. Here's an example of a few varieties that the deer do not like because of the scent or for whatever reason they stay away from. These are geraniums, marigolds. They're the best plant to keep the deer away. The petunias and the begonias, for whatever reason, the deer tend to like them. As you know, right now the impatiens are hit with a blight, so stay away from impatiens altogether. Here's an example of a nice evergreen. This is a skip laurel. We plant a lot of these, especially in the springtime. They're great in shady, darker areas, and they're a tall, narrow plant that will be good for screening. The deer tend to stay away from these. I've seen in very cold winters they go after them, but it's a good deer-resistant plant. This is a cherry laurel. It's a low-lying cousin of the skip laurel, and it's a good plant to put in your garden to keep the deer away. Stay away from rhododendrons, the deer love them. Here's a dragon lady holly. The deer tend to go after the hollies, however, the more pointy the needle, the more apt they are to stay away from the holly plant. This is a green giant single stem arborvitae. It's a great plant and it's an evergreen plant that you want to use when you have deer in the area. The deer tend to go after arborvitaes, especially the emerald greens, but they stay away from the green giant. It's a very good choice. This is an example of a bamboo. For whatever reason, they stay away from the bamboos. Over here is a Duke Garden yew. As you know, the deer love the yews, but this has been bred and developed to be a deer-resistant evergreen. We have it here at Denny Wiggers Gardens in Paramus. Behind me is an andromeda. Andromeda are deer-resistant. It's a good substitution for the rhododendrons that the deer love. However, native rhododendrons tend to be more deer resistant. So you can go with the native, which are the shade tolerant rhododendrons. Stay away from the regular hybrid rhododendrons. Andromeda is a good substitution for that plant. Over here we have our smaller plants that will go in front of your larger plants. This is a juniper, a blue rug juniper, very deer resistant. This is a perennial here, a halobro, deer resistant. Boxwood, it's a great deer resistant plant. good evergreen, hardy. The deer tend to stay away from the boxwoods. And right back here is a ilex, very good deer-resistant plant also. As I'm walking around the garden here, I have a couple of nice evergreens. This is a Norway spruce, very good plant to keep the deer away. It's a plant that will grow tall. Blue spruce is a good plant, white pine, Douglas fir, all good plants, and most deciduous plants are deer resistant. This is an example of a dogwood. I have a red maple here, and there's a whole list on our website that you can check out. And be sure that when you plant, check to make sure it's deer resistant. Right now in New Jersey, and like I said before, the whole Northeast and all throughout the country, the deer population is spiked, and there's no stop to the population going up. So the problem's only going to get worse. So I advise everybody to go on the website, Denny Wiggers Gardenscapes, and go through the list and be sure you put deer-resistant plants in. Most garden centers are familiar with the deer-resistant plants. Also, you can go on the state agriculture website. They also have a lot of information too. So be smart, think about the deer before you